our next topic tonight, and this one actually just broke right before we went on stream tonight, not too long before. Wonder Woman 3 got canceled today.
Yeah, I read that. And to be honest, I'm not surprised.
So this one actually came out at 4:17, so we're extra topical tonight.
I'm not surprised. I know that they were disappointed by the performance of Wonder Woman 2.
What did you think of Wonder Woman 2?
I enjoyed it for what it was. It was very much it embraced the campiness of the television show, and the comic of the time, right?
The 80s, that very 80s prestige stuff.
It really embraced it, and I thought that was fun. Like, I was okay with it because the first movie did such a good job of taking that serious tone.
Yeah,
I kind of felt like they were going for, I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like they were going for kind of a Thor feel. Like, the first movie was kind of serious with some light comedy, and then the second movie they went hard for the comedy, with Kristen Wiig involved, and and Gal Gadot comedically can hold her own.
Was it Pedro Pascal was in that?
Pedro Pascal, like, again, there were a lot of talents in that second film that had some good comedic chops.
Right.
So I enjoyed the second movie. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I liked the first one, but at the same time, I feel like they certainly kind of felt like, I wouldn't go so far as to say Wonder Woman 2 was a bomb, but they were not happy with the performance.
I don't know how well it did in the theater. And I know they weren't very happy with the performance of it. Look and see what the box office made. 169 million. Oh yeah, it probably bombed. It probably did not.
So I feel like Wonder Woman 2 is unfortunately suffering from the fallout of the Snyderverse.
Yes, and so that's one of the theories. So the Hollywood Reporter, they do a really good job, and they're a very reputable publication. One of their theories here is that they're trying to kill the Snyderverse, and IO9's got the same idea. Do you think that's where they're going?
I mean, I feel like that's the take they've been taking.
You think that's where James Gunn?
Each film that they've been making, I think, outside of Justice League, they've been taking each step is a little further and a little further away from the Snyderverse vision.
They just put in their new leadership team.
Yep.
So James Gunn and Safran just came in month ago?
Yeah, but James has already produced movies for DC. I mean, Suicide Squad.
He did Suicide Squad 2, and then he did Peacemaker, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He also did Peacemaker, and both of those, again, very much the James Gunn productions, very much outside of the spectacle and horrible writing of the Snyderverse. Again, personal opinions. You can feel free to mail those directly to your trash if you'd like. I'm not interested in debating.
So you're not a big Snyderverse fan, huh?
I'm not. I'm really not. I feel like the Snyderverse was like, DC historically has been presented, when you look at DC versus Marvel, to compare the two.
Yeah.
DC has always been presented for the most part as characters of godly power and their machinations and kind of like what happens with those characters.
Yep.
And then humans, and then again, like humans interacting with those gods and trying to compete with those gods.
Right.
Marvel has for the most part typically presented as their characters as everymen that had responsibilities foisted upon them, whether it be through accidental powers or someone like stepping forward to take responsibility or what have you. Like, most of their heroes are not cosmic gods or at that level of power. And I feel like that dichotomy's presented its way for a long time, and I feel like DC had a chance to kind of embrace something that was a little bit more DC, but Snyder tried to drag it down to a human level. Like, he tried to make it too grimdark, he tried to make it too real and the stakes too human, and I feel like that's what hurt DC, because DC has always been better at telling like those large cosmic, larger than life power
Green Lantern
stories.
Corps,
Exactly.
Superman, like the big bombastic kind of stories.
You know, and Marvel's strengths have, for the most part, always been the smaller, more intimate stories. Like Marvel's crossovers, certainly they're well known for them, but I mean, most people, if you were to ask them about the giant crossovers that Marvel does, they're not really a big fan of those crossovers because Marvel doesn't do a great job with that type of work. Like with that type of writing. Their tie-ins, they're large.
Well, especially like when they used to do it where they would cross books. Like, if you want to finish this story, go to Deathlock number 464. You finish that one. It's like, this is continued in Incredible Hulk number 244. Like, it got a little bonkers with how Marvel would do that.
So that's what I feel like. That's where my feeling is where the Snyderverse stuff missed out, or where it missed the mark on the DC stuff. The Snyderverse tried to present these powerful people, but bring them down to like Superman, bringing like Man of Steel,
bringing him down to a human level. Now, see, and I think Wonder Woman had mostly avoided that. They always showed her as this like godlike character who like I still remember like kind of that look that Chris Pratt when she goes running up in the trench in Wonder Woman 1, and they're like, "You're going up over the top." When they're like World War I trench warfare, and it's like, okay, and like I thought Patty Jenkins did a good job, like kind of subverting the Snyderverse a little bit.
That's exactly it. Patty Jenks did a great job, and I think Patty Jenks did a great job on the second movie. Again, I feel like she had a vision that she executed, and I thought it went well. She went right into that kind of the campy 80s territory and like owned it. And I thought that was a lot of fun. But yeah, personally, Snyderverse can hit the bricks. I'm ready to, Aquaman was fun and bombastic. And again, powerful characters being powerful, and they're still telling a story that has human elements. Yeah. But they embraced that powerful side of things. Right. The same thing that Wonder Woman did, and the same thing. And when you look at like the Harley Quinn flicks, right? Birds of Prey, and the Harley Quinn movies, and even the Suicide Squad movies. The Suicide Squad movies are the closest thing, obviously, James Gunn. Let's say the first Suicide Squad movie.
Well, that wasn't the first one. Wasn't him? I don't think.
Was not. No, it wasn't Gunn, but it was trying to kind of get that Guardians feel.
Right.
And it just they just slipped through their fingers a little bit. So they brought in Gunn to bring to do a sequel, and Gunn brought that feel that they want.
Well, and now they've given him the keys of the kingdom. He runs DC now. That's it. Yeah. Like that's the ball game. So apparently Jenkins had recently submitted her treatment for Wonder Woman 3 to Gunn and Safran, who run DC, as well as Warner Pictures co-chairs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, and they said, nope, not happening. It did not fit in with their new but still unfolding plans. Apparently Gunn and Safran just came back from Aspen, where they were doing a planning conference, and they have a set of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, a working blueprint, according to the Hollywood Reporter. They're expected to meet next week with David Zaslav, the new Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, to explain what the heck they're going to do.
I mean, you can only assume that when they brought Gunn on, there had to have been some kind of pitch meeting, like how do you see the DC universe unfolding at Warner Brothers?
Well, and I mean, it's James Gunn. Right? He's not going to go the Zack Snyder dark, grim dark.
Oh yeah,
darky dark. Right? He's not going to go that way. As THR points out, there are 2 more Snyderverse-esque films coming out that are still in the pipeline. That's the Flash movie, which is coming out early next year.
God, I just wish they would just put that in the can and call it done.
Just shelve it.
I mean,
apparently it's good. That's the I think that's the problem that they have. And we'll come back to that in just a second. And then the other one is Shazam 2 and Aquaman.
And again, Shazam was a fun romp.
It's still in the DCU.
Yeah, it's still in the DCU, but again, it took such a wide berth from the taint of the Snyderverse. Really?
Yeah.
that Shazam like stood on its own as a fun DC movie that was released around the same time as the Snyderverse, in that same vein, and connected, but didn't suffer from all of the downsides and all of the negative impacts of the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
At least again, this is all personal views. Love the Snyderverse. You can love what you love. Everyone's allowed to love what they love.
I thought Man of Steel was fine. I didn't love Justice League. I didn't love Batman v Superman. First off, I didn't like the title because it sounded like a lawsuit.
Oh, for sure.
Batman v Superman. The next case the Supreme Court will be hearing. Right? Like, I didn't like that.
Man of Steel lost me when they treated the Ma and Pa Kent as alienists. Like, you know, they did not teach Clark the foundations of what it meant to be a human and what it meant to be, you know, to have that responsibility that he had.
Yeah.
The power that he had. They, you know, it was very much a movie of its time, which is, you're powerful, we need to hide you, and nobody can know about this because, you know, it's more important to keep you safe and not the people around you.
Yeah.
Even though you apparently are invincible.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You know, you know, I thought, you know, they did a great job. I mean, Cavill did a great job. I thought Cavill did a fine job with what he was
Cavill's a fine Superman.
Cavill is a fine Superman. I just felt like the script was not great.
And that's totally fair. Chat's asking if we can get Batgirl back, or is it too soon?
It's Batgirl's not coming back.
That's shelved. Zaslav's not ever going to release that. And
no.
Put it this way, they're taking a $70 million write down for Batgirl. Again, and to quote one of my favorite movie blogger guys, like my movie people who I think are reputable, you know, I'm not listening to the Joe's Movie Blog.farts, right? Like, those are not the things. If it's not in Variety or Hollywood Reporter or IndieWire or something like that, like, it's BS. Like,
I desperately want .farts now to be a
thing. Okay.
I want that to be a suffix now.
So shout out to John Campia, because he says that all the time, and quite frankly, I agree with him. I occasionally will watch the ones like from like Clownfish or Doomcock where they're like, I've sources that say this is horrible and terrible and everything's bad, and I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. In this case, the Batgirl screenings, apparently Zaslav felt that it looked like a DC TV show on a $70 million budget, and he went, "What did you do?" That being said, that crew is actually they got another pitch meeting recently, right? Hang on, I actually sought that. There was something. The Batgirl directors are still working with DC on some surprise project. Apparently with the contract caveat that DC actually has to release it. They're required to. RB, who was one of the people that worked on it, said the meetings are in the books. He met with Gunn and Safran about... so LRB and Falah, they were upset about the cancellation, but they are still working with Warner Brothers. And they have met with Gunn and Safran about some project that's forthcoming in the DC universe. So they're getting another shot. They are.
Hold on, I gotta just call this out. Tip.
Do
you want to try to explain Vogons?
No, we're not.
Go ahead. We're not going to explain.
I'm not going to do it.
That's
a thank you,
deep
chat.
Conversation.
I appreciate that though. Zaslav, here's the thing. I want to give Zaslav time. So far, he has not done anything that I think is dumb. I don't think he's Chapek'd it up yet. I really don't. I want to see what Gunn and Safran do with DC first. Now, you all who've been here in this chat will know this. I will die on this hill. My personal opinion is the best film, like on-screen incarnation I have seen of the DCU outside of animated, like in live action, is the Berlantiverse. I'm sorry. It's the best one I've seen. It's...
I have to agree. I feel like...
Greg Berlanti gets it.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like that's they've done a very good job with the television shows, with all of them. I have not watched all of them, I can be honest, and I have not watched all the crossovers, but everything I've seen I've found entertaining, and I feel like clearly there's a vision there that understands the draw of DC and the draw of those characters.
Now those shows are now finally going away, so we'll see what the next incarnations of DC are. I want Gunn. So actually, while we're on the subject of DC, so actually let me go around in 2 circles here. One, I hope with DC, with Gunn and Safran there, I don't think they all need to be interconnected. I understand the draw to do so, but like the Batman with Robert Pattinson was so good. Just put that. Let him do his thing. I thought it was so good. Best Supes I've seen in live action, still Christopher Reeve. I was watching one of those recently, and I like Christopher Reeve, and I respect him for what it was at the time. Those movies weren't good. They were so cheesy.
Oh, 100%.
They were not.
But I'd also, again, I'll go back to Wonder Woman 82 or Wonder Woman 84. Like, that was definitely a nod, a lovely nod to the classic Superman movies. Like, the opening of Wonder Woman 84 is straight up
very
one
much.
of the wonderful Superman Rube Goldberg like tributes.
I'm being told to tread lightly.
Oh no, I see, and I would advise caution.
Look, Reeve was not bad. If you were going to be like, stick any actor from any of the Supermans, I would honestly put, why can't I think of his name? Man of Steel, brain fart, Butcher. Why is his name eluding me all of a sudden?
Carl Urban?
No.
I thought you said Butcher.
No. Cavill, thank you. Jesus, why did
Henry
that leave
Cavill,
my
yes.
head? I honestly think Henry Cavill, from look and style, is one of the best Supermans I have ever seen. He's probably the best Superman I've ever seen. Again, like Michael, I think the scripts needed some work, and I think the tone and tenor of those movies needed some stuff, but I think he made a really good Superman.
Like, I feel like if they gave Henry Cavill a good treatment of All-Star Superman,
oh yeah,
it would be easily the best Superman movie ever made.
I hate to say, Superman's supposed to be, and this is my issue, he's supposed to be a positive character, like upbeat. I'm not supposed to feel depressed coming out of Superman. All I wanted from Man of Steel was the Clark Kent glasses, and I had to wait for the last 2 freaking minutes. Oh, the chat's very upset. This is what I'm saying.
No, the chat's not very upset. Dot is very upset.
Well, yeah, but people are watching this on YouTube later and things like that. They may not know Dot. So, but yes, chat is upset about that. So, there you go. And I don't blame Dot for being upset about that, because that's ridiculous.